next question that comes to a client's mind is how do they set a budget for like a UI UX project, right? I'm just starting out an app. I don't have even like a basic wireframe in place. So how do I understand or how do I arrive to a certain budget for going to the next step or at least launching my app or a website?
So when it comes to budgeting, the budget of course depends from application to application, product to product, and goal to goal. So let's say if you have you can choose either one of them. I would say either you choose your goal and then to fulfill that goal you put the budget, or let's say if you have a budget, then based on the budget you decide your goal or the features that app needs to have. Of course, like you cannot get, let's say, 100 features in maybe $1, but of course you can get 3 features in $1, for example. So if you have a very specific, or a client has a very specific budget constraint, then they need to map it out that okay, what are the fundamental features that are very much necessary for the app to function. So it's sort of a card sorting technique, or what we can say we follow while doing a UI UX process, where we put forward all the features the app must have, but then we pick the best assorted features that the app cannot function with or the product cannot function with. So to put that features in a bucket list and then deciding that okay, this is that, maybe go to the agency or maybe to the internal team and figure out that okay, if these features are needed, then what will be the budget to build those features. So I think if they follow this approach, then it will be more appropriate to come out with the conclusive budget.
So according to you, then you're saying that does the budget depend on the number of screens or more on the features? So for example, if there is an app which has less number of screens but more complicated features, would that then be more costly? Or would an app which is basic and just has like a bunch of number of screens, maybe probably like 15, 20, 25, and compare that to an app which has only 5 screens but a lot of complicated features? So how does the budgeting work at that stage?
So when it comes to UX UI, the features, how the features or how many features are there, if there are complex features, then it might not be necessary that to present those complex features we might require a lot of screens. We can probably construct that complex feature if again we are doing a great or we follow the process to work on the great UX, and we can of course minimize this number of screens. So in that stance, to answer the question, definitely the budget depends on how we solve the problem rather than like how much steps it takes to solve that problem. So if the problem is complex and if you really follow the process and use mechanics to solve that fundamental problem, then the screens can be reduced, but the effort is high. So of course the budgeting of the product depends more on how we solve that problem, how complex is that problem, rather than the number of screens, because number of screens only means the high number of screens only means that you have failed to do a great UX, because that is a process for the user only, that they have to go through so many screens in order to function. So the idea should be on problem solving rather than like calculating the number of screens.
Got it. Makes sense.